Good morning. Today is Friday, January 19th, 2024, and I'm Delegate Edith Patterson, Chair of the Southern Maryland Delegation. Welcome to our first meeting. We're really excited to once more be here as a group. This is our completion of our second week in session, and we have really important topics to cover this morning. But first of all, I'm going to ask Delegate Todd Morgan if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And Todd, I have a flag.
Me too.
Oh, great. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Looks like the same flag. It's really important for us to continue to recognize that blessing is prayer for guidance and assurance is needed. And I'm going to ask Delegate Jeff Long if he would lead us in a prayer.
Yes, ma'am. Gracious God, how great you are. We thank you for your divine providence. We thank you for your grace. We thank you for your favor. We thank you for every leader on this call and for every stakeholder. We ask you for strength. We ask you for safety. We ask you for wisdom. We thank you, God, for stamina as we do the people's work throughout the course of these remaining 80-some days of this session. God, we ask that you would unite us together with cords that cannot be broken. Let everything that's said and done be done in unity and to your glory and for the upbuilding of your kingdom. We thank you again for our chair leadership. We thank you for every member, every district, and all that we represent in Southern Maryland. We pray again for your blessings, your peace, and your favor. In your great name, amen.
Thank you, Delegate Long. Each year, at the beginning of the first meeting, we have an organizational meeting. And so right now, I'm going to open the floor for recommendations for the organizational structure for the Southern Maryland delegation. I recognize Delegate Davis.
Yes, Madam Chair, I motion that we retain the current leadership.
Is there a second? Second, Senator Jackson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, so we have over the interim gotten letters and I'm sure in the counties had discussions about the ramifications of the budget restrictions as it relates to transportation. And so the first meeting is really paramount that we look at what's going on. There were some updates and changes. I'm unsure how they impact Southern Maryland. And so I'm going to ask George Clark, then John Hartline, and then Holly Arnold to give us an update and to answer any questions we may have. Thank you. George, I'll start with you.
All right, thank you, and good morning, delegates, and thanks for having us. And yes, this is a very hot topic going on right now. Kara, I don't know if you could share the documents. If you can, I'll just give you a verbal update of our Commuter Connections program here in Southern Maryland, something that we've been creating for over 40 years. We do consume here in Southern Maryland majority of the MDOT's commuter bus funds, being that we had the largest commuter bus funds. Prior to COVID, I'll give you some numbers here. When we were running at full steam with 85 to 95% ridership numbers, we were running 105 daily trips to Charles County. We had 86 Calvert County, and there was 90 trips of the MTA commuter buses in the St. Mary's County. There's 13 routes that MTA contracts out to 3 different vendors, March, Academy, and Keller. Now, of course, prior to COVID, everything was fine and dandy. We were also working, Derek Lennon's on the call here, commuter bus director for MTA. For years, we've been working to establish some new stops and particularly at the Homeland Security and
No.
U.S. Coast Guard, where we have many. I'm talking a little over that. My last count I got out of them was like almost 400 Southern Maryland residents working at Homeland Security alone, and we didn't have a route there, but we were able to get one started thanks to MTA, and that route, of course, started in November. It also added, which never done before, several pickups in Prince George's County. And the reason I'm going to bring this up, because when this delegation needs to get with the Prince George's County delegation, because it's going to affect some of their residents, determine on what we're going to get cut, what's going to hit us. The new stops included the Oxon Hill Park and Ride Lot, National Harbor, and from there to Homeland Security. December, they added another Prince George's County stop, and that's at the Brandywine new Park and Ride Lot. And eventually, when the MOU, Derek, you can correct me, it still has not been signed, there was planned to have a stop at Southern Maryland Hospital there in Clinton. So COVID came along, we know what happened, shut down, we all had to go indoors. And of course, when came back into the workforce, our ridership numbers on the commuter buses are 35%, holding steady, but they are increasing. It's important that I tell y'all that these cuts are going to affect us a great bit, because Washington, D.C., District of Columbia Mayor Bowser just announced March 1st, all district employees are coming back into the office. They have been 1 day in the office, 4 days telework, where it's reversed. It's going to be 4 days now back in the office, 1 day telework. President Biden and his administration has also said they plan on bringing federal workers back into the workplace. Last I heard, possibly 3 days a week, 2 days telework, but he's not going to make that announcement until they settle on a budget so we don't have a government shutdown. So saying that, not knowing what's going to happen, is we know this whole conversation started because they were going to eliminate the commuter buses completely. And of course, those at MTA, we all know we do not have light rail. We don't have metro. Our only source of getting commuters and reducing congestion on the highways is, of course, alternative transportation. That's our commuter buses, our van pools, and our carpool programs that we run. And I don't know, I'm going to let Holly touch on this. I did include in the packet, hopefully it was shared with all the delegation. It came out at Maryland Matters on the 16th. And they all of a sudden now are going to put 150 million back in the commuter buses, but they also said there will still be a 60% cut. What those cuts are, I have not seen yet. I have talked to Derek Lennon, who's a commuter bus director here. He's on the line. We both kind of come to the consensus, yeah, we could see there needs to be some reduction maybe in trips, not elimination of trips. Once we lose a particular route, we're not going to get it back. And when we get back into full swing with the federal government and the District of Columbia going back to office, this is not going to help Maryland's climate program. We're going to increase congestion more so than it already is. We're going to increase emissions. And I don't know what we could do at this point. I know it's up to y'all. Y'all do have to vote on this budget that the governor released on the 17th. And I do want to bring up another thing that I pretty much covered my talking points other than the notes I shared. Now, we did get a nice letter, Delegate Patterson sent to MTA from one of our commuters here in Southern Maryland. I did include that in the packet. He made some great bullet points, but I'll turn it back to you, Delegate Patterson.
Well, thank you very much, George. And I think at the end, we're going to come up with recommendations, the next steps. Senator Jackson has a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. It's not a question, Madam Chair. I just want to advise you, George, that within the Southern Maryland delegation, you have members from Prince George's County, myself, Delegate Harris, Delegate Long, and we're in extensive conversations. There are, I believe, at least 5 people that are within the Southern Maryland delegation, if not more, probably more, that sit on the transportation subcommittee in the House, and I'm on the budget and taxation, where we deal with the transportation as well. Prince George's County has had extensive conversations with, and will continue to have conversations with the Department of Transportation. So just wanted to let you know that Prince George's is on par.
Great. Yeah, I'm aware. I wasn't trying to exclude you, Senator Jackson. I'm aware we have several members on the Southern Maryland delegation, but we need to get you guys to get with your whole delegations from Prince George's County to get on board.
Yeah, I am the chair of the Prince George's County Senate delegation, and you have leadership. Delegate Harris is one of the vice chairs over there. So we are
Right.
on.
And Delegate Patterson, I do want to introduce Travis Johnson's on the line. He is the administrator for the local lots. That's our local transportation system, the bus in Prince George's County, STS, Bango, and Calvert County. I understand that had gotten restored. I'm not sure, but my understanding is it's only for 1 year. Is that correct?
I can speak to that. Yes, so for the FY25 budget proposal that came out, it does restore the proposed cuts to the lots for FY25. So there will be no operating reductions for FY25, and we'll be implementing the new formula.
Yeah, and great. I think delegates, we need to look at, have they announced what the cuts are? And Holly, I guess I need to get from you because we don't know.
So you're asking about the commuter bus?
Yes.
Yes. So for commuter bus, again, this has all been announced on Wednesday, so fairly late breaking. We're, not even 2 days in. So we are working through what it's going to look like for commuter bus and what the changes will be. I do recognize, Derek's on here. He does a fantastic job, and he and his team recognize the importance of commuter bus to Southern Maryland in particular. I know that you guys are our highest ridership area. So we're trying to minimize impacts as much as possible. That said, it's going to go from a $64 million program down to a $28 million program. So we will have to make adjustments throughout. I'm hoping by the end of the month that we will have a proposal out. It is important to note that we're going to have to do public hearings for these changes. And so we will be looking for public feedback, obviously feedback from elected officials as we move forward and then before we implement. But the plan would be to implement as of July 1st.
Okay, thank you.
George, we have, I don't know who's going to go over this. We have a delineation of the briefing that was offered by the secretary regarding the cuts or the restoration of funds. It's John going to go over that, or Ms. Arnold? Is that what we're going to discuss this morning?
I would leave
Anything in
it.
here that relates to Southern Maryland, really?
Yeah, I would refer to either Holly or John Hartline, our executive director of Tri-County Council.
All right, so thank you. John, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Oh, there you are. Thank you. Good morning, John.
Good morning. I haven't reviewed the cuts because we were still trying to determine what's being cut and what's being restored. The only point that I would have is here at the council, we have quite a bit of experience about through the Wheels to Wellness program. During the pandemic, we lost all of our drivers. And the process of rehiring and bringing drivers back, when we couldn't get any of them back until we raised the wages by $5 an hour. And then even with that, it took us 3 months beyond that to reach where we were back to full operation again. And we were only trying to restore like 4 drivers. My concern is that anytime you cut these routes, or if you remove them completely, you're going to have a very difficult time getting the drivers back. They immediately, if they have a CDL, they can get jobs at Uber, Amazon, Lyft, and they a lot of times find that they're very much more flexible jobs, and they don't have to deal with the public. So I would just caution anybody that it's not irreversible, but it's very difficult to reverse any cuts in routes if the situation changes that you need to start them up or add more routes again. So that would be my caution. It's very difficult to get people back once they've actually found new employment.
Yeah,
And
and I'll
costs
add to
more
that.
money.
Yeah, I'll add to that delegation is that, we do have quite a bit every day. Every day my phone's beeping as cancellations of certain trips in all three counties. And that's due to not as much ridership. And Derek, Holly, y'all could address this. It's more so to also driver shortage. And I am all for the to not eliminate routes, but to reduce routes and go to the S series. And what I mean by that, I'll let Holly explain that more. But when you look at an MTA timetable, there's little S's over certain stops on the day, and those are the ones whenever there's issues that come up with there's protests in Washington or certain things that they're switched to just to S series, which is more mandated. And I think that will help with the budgets, Holly, with MTA if we did something like that instead of losing routes. I mean, right now we have 13 routes in the counties.
Yeah, so I appreciate the feedback on that. And actually, Derek can speak to it, but we are running the S schedule today, combination of weather and some protests in Washington, D.C. And so recognizing that. And I appreciate that feedback again, as we're working to come up with a proposal, definitely one of the options that we're considering and we'll, put on the table for the public feedback.
All right, Senator Ellis. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm curious. This is my first time, and thank you, everyone, to be here, and Administrator Arnold. You mentioned the S routes. I'm not familiar with that. Could you tell us what's that, please?
Actually, I'm going to see if Derek is much closer to it than I am. So Derek Lennon is the Director of Commuter Bus for MTA. Derek, can you kind of give an overview of what that looks like? I can't hear you if you're speaking, Derek. Oh, you just went on mute. Try again. Nope, still nothing. All right, so it looks like Derek's having some technical difficulties. I mean, so S service, you can see it on our schedule. So if you look up the commuter bus schedules, there's ones that are designated with a little S in the schedule. And essentially what that means is, as George said, if there is inclement weather or if there is protest or something else that we just need to run less service, we do it a lot on holidays too. We will, those are the trips that still run. So it's a reduction in service. I don't have the exact percentage, and I think it depends on the different routes, but it is just a reduction in service. It's essentially the level of service that we were running during the pandemic as well. So most of 2020 into, I think, fall of 2021, that's the level of service that we were running on all the routes and still have been running a lower level on some of the routes.
Well, thank you. So S basically is the basic service for all routes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do a similar thing with our commuter rail. It's the R schedule over there where we just kind of cut down to a more bare bones schedule. So folks who still need to travel can, but it doesn't provide the same options that folks have on the regular schedule.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, and one of my concerns also is that, MTA, of course, owns their own park and ride lots. I mean, we have 10 park and ride lots in Calvert County and Charles. We have 7 in St. Mary's County. Some of those are leased by MTA. And Holly, I don't know the nuts and bolts of the real estate side of it, but, we have leases with a Hollywood Volunteer Fire Department, the Charlotte Hall. If routes were cut completely there, is the state still responsible to pay the contract fees for the year or the 2 years that they've been signed?
I see Derek popped up again. You want to try speaking and see if you're...
Yeah, can you hear me now?
There we go. Yeah, Derek, can you feel free to correct anything that I misspoke there.
I had to call in from my phone. So, okay. So here's the thing, George. Several of the lots that we are have leases on now will expire within the next year or so. The one at Hollywood Fire Department, I mean, that's something that we might look at possibly keeping around, but our goal is because we have so many either MTA or SHA owned lots in the Southern Maryland region, we would be to get out of some of them.
Thanks, Derek. And so I think to that point, right, again, once we put out a proposal, we can add the details on that is what I would look for. And I do want to be clear, right? So this is, the governor's budget still has to be approved by the General Assembly. And so I anticipate it sounds like there's going to be some feedback there, as well as we do need to go through the public hearing process. We have to do a Title VI analysis. And so this is an ongoing process that we'll all communicate over the next few months as we look to move forward.
Thanks.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm having all types of technical difficulties here.
Blame it on the weather.
Well, my concern is simply this. I know that it's contingent upon approval with the governor's budget, but I think that we have to be very proactive and look out for the citizens of the Southern Maryland region to make sure that their concerns are heard. So I'm going to ask between John and George if you are willing to work with us to draft a letter for the Southern Maryland delegation to consider, to send to the governor, to the secretary, and whoever, to make sure that our concerns are heard. I know that we have members on various committees, but I think a strongly concerted effort for all three counties is really critical. Pretty much what was done with another county to the north, not Prince George's, another county to the north. I mean, they jumped on it right away. And I think that we must continue to do that as well. Because without the commuter, we're a rural community. So the commuter buses and connections are essential for our workforce to continue to feed their families and be productive. So
I think the best that John and I work together on producing that letter, and John's a better letter writer than I am, but I'll be the one that have all the facts, and we'll work something up. Now, when we make that letter to delegates, would it be okay too to send it to Holly and her team so they know what our warrants are, and when they start looking at their cuts and so forth as well?
Well, absolutely. Thank you very much. Okay, any other discussion, concerns from the members?
We will get on that immediately, Delegate Patterson.
Thank you. There is a letter I believe Kara sent to all of us. It was from a Mr. Scott in La Plata. He made some very good points. He should be on the committee, that we can lift some points from his letter. Most of all, he's a consumer. He's a commuter bus rider, and I think he has great insights. So thank you so very much.
Yeah, Delegate Patterson, may I add one thing? That gentleman, I just found out, I had several conversations with him, used to work for MTA.
Oh, even better.
I just found that out. I'm like, well, that's how you know so much. And but one other thing I do want to stress is, Delegate Patterson, you are the chair of our Regional Infrastructure Committee at the Tri-County Council.
Oh, yeah.
And as you know, all counties have to come up with our transportation priority letter, and they are due in April, first week in April. And as you know, in our last meeting we had several weeks ago, we're kind of at a standstill because we don't know what cuts are coming so that we can get these letters done on time. And it's hard here, Holly and Travis, just to let you know, at the Tri-County Council, because we got 3 counties that we got to put one letter together just for the Tri-County Council. But St. Mary's, Calvert, Prince George's, they all have to do a letter. Every county in the state's got to do a letter. And so it'd be great if we could find out what these cuts are, so that we did mention, Delegate Patterson, you being chair, that we'll have somewhat of a emergency type meeting to kind of get things rolling so that we could have that letter done. Because our next meeting, I don't believe, is until March.
Absolutely. I was going to suggest that with the REAC, that 2 letters be sent, one from the Southern Maryland delegation and also from REAC. So absolutely no problem here.
Good point. Good
because
point.
it is an emergency.
Yeah, could I add also, this is Senator Ellis, that I know listening to George keeps saying, send it to the delegates. let's not forget we have three Southern Maryland senators here.
He said he meant delegation.
Yeah, I meant delegation.
And so, well, I just talk to what I hear. So remember, we have three senators here. We have two on the budget committees, and Administrator Arnold mentioned something, and the budget is in the Maryland General Assembly now. And so with the constitutional changes that passed a couple of years ago, we can add also. So that's where the big push, I do believe, should be. And I think, well, I heard Senator Jackson say that. And so we have to be focused that the budget is in the Maryland General Assembly's hands right now. This year, the Senate, I do believe, have the budget first. And so that's where the action is right now. The governor and his team gave their input, and now we have that document to work on. So I just want to kind of bring that up to say that, you know, Senator Jackson, Senator Bailey, and myself work very closely together on all our Southern Maryland priorities. So I just want to make sure we clarify that. And also, there's a pro forma session today. I'm in Annapolis, and I'm performing the duties of majority leader today. I have to be there on the Senate floor, so I have to jump off this call in a few minutes to go take care of the pro forma duties. So I just wish everyone best and be safe in the snowstorm.
Thank you, Senator Ellis. And please be advised that as many letters to the governor is certainly welcome. And I appreciate your efforts and your work leadership. Senator Jackson?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I also sit on the, not only do I and Delegate Harris sit on the budget committees as well as Senator Bailey, but we also have transportation. So we see the Department of Transportation, Ms. Holly and her team quite often during the budget process. So, you know, those documents that you'll have for us will certainly adhere to them for the hearings as well as on the Prince George's County side. So just wanted to say that.
Absolutely. And please be advised that, again, the more communication that is sent out to advocate and push for funding for Southern Maryland, the better. Okay. All right. Thank you again for the transportation update and information. We really appreciate your being here. And if there are no other questions regarding transportation, let's move to the next item, and that is the Southern Maryland delegation reception next month. John.
Thank you, Delegate Patterson. I have I've sent the delegation an update as of yesterday, late afternoon. We have, at this point in time, collected or have commitments on $19,950. So we're $50 short of $20,000. We're operating on we need a budget or a total commitment in the area of a little over $40,000 based on what we're trying to accomplish. Compared to last year, we're roughly about 2 times the money at this particular point in time. So we're on a path where we expect that we will be within our budget. We have currently 14 sponsorships, and we have 56 people who have actually signed up and paid for their admission. So we are making good progress. Amber and I are reaching out to a number of companies starting probably the 1st of February to get more sponsorships. We're hoping to get more out of the defense community in particular. And we welcome anyone who wants to have a sponsorship to give us a call. And it's going to be, again, I'll remind you, on February 29th. Last year, we had lost our date with the hotel, and then we slid into March when we talked to the hotel this year at the graduate They had not scheduled anything for leap year day, the 29th of February. So this is a once in 4 years annual event. And that's my report. Any questions?
All right, John, are you able to, you probably have sent us information regarding the reception?
I have. It was sent to Kara yesterday late afternoon.
All right, thank you
Yeah,
so
and
much.
may I add, Delegate, for those on MTA, we welcome you guys to also attend the reception. It will be at the Graduate Hotel in Annapolis, Maryland.
Okay. All right. That sounds, is this earlier? Do we usually have it in February?
We usually have it in the last Thursday in February.
Okay.
So, but it is a little bit later. It's usually around the 24th, 25th. This year it's on the 29th.
Okay. Thank you once more. And particularly, would be interesting to see for us to reach out to some new businesses in the counties, or maybe new businesses that, well, maybe at any rate, we can offer some new business as well.
We're definitely going through the chamber as well and
Okay.
speaking to them and having that, because we've been working closely with the Charles County Chamber and the Calvert Chamber as well. So.
Hey, thanks a lot for that. Now, on the next item is Delegate Morgan. You have House Bill 391 you wanted support for.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm brand new, so this is round 2 of a lot. And I'm sponsoring a bill, House Bill 391, and it deals specifically with St. Mary's, Charles, Prince George's, and Montgomery County. And it's a church bill for the Protestant Episcopalian Church. And I know that everyone from St. Mary's and Charles has signed on to it. Basically, it goes back to 1798 with something called the Vestry Act. And now we're up to 2024. And making a really long story short, there's 3 dioceses in Maryland for the Episcopal Church: Maryland, Easton, and Washington. But Washington also includes DC. So as time has moved on, laws have changed, and the Diocese of Washington is not officially recognized and given corporate status within the churches, which then allows them obviously to go to banks, grant givers, and persons of that sort to get accredited. Now, the reason that we're so far behind is because of Washington, D.C., and until the laws of D.C. caught up with the state of Maryland, this alignment couldn't take place. So while I will be sponsoring the bill and moving forward, and Senator Bailey will be sponsoring it over on the Senate side, I didn't know if a letter of support from the delegation would be good, since it does basically touch 3 of the 4 counties. And I do plan to go see Delegate Williams and Delegate Palkovich-Carr to see what their respective counties would also think. So I'm throwing this out there for what you guys think.
Well, thank you very much, Delegate Morgan. Certainly, I think that this merits our consideration and vote for a letter of support to strengthen. I'm not sure which committee it would go before, but is there a motion amongst the members that we offer a letter of support? Now, what you might do is, this is already filed, so we can get a copy offline.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a discussion or consensus from the members?
So moved.
Thank you, Delegate Davis. Delegate Davis has made the motion that we send a letter of support to House. When is it being heard? I'm sorry, when is it being heard?
I don't have a date yet, ma'am.
Okay. Well, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure who's second, but Delegate Crosby, thank you. All those in favor, just raise your hands, please. Okay. Thank you very much for that. And Delegate Morgan will get a letter out.
Thank you guys very much.
We'll create that. Before we go to a closing, I would like for members, if you have new staff or anything new you'd like to share about your office, please let us know. There's some new people online. So let's do that. Senator Jackson, you ready?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. Being a representative of 3 counties, we try to ensure that we stay connected. So on the line, we have an intern from Towson University, Joy Lewis, who lives in Charles County. We have Justin Thompson, a former intern who is now a member of our office staff handling constituent services in Calvert counties. And I do not see Demetrius Briscoe, who will be handling the Prince George's County side of things. So thank you all. And you all know Ms. Carroll, who's on the line as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Delegate Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for this opportunity to introduce Ariel Moore, my new Chief of Staff. I'm glad you turned the camera on. That's Ariel Moore. Thank you.
Welcome to everyone. Any other new staffers or returning staffers anyone would like to introduce? Okay, well, I certainly want to recognize Kara Franklin, who's returning with me. And she's mastering the Zoom connections, etc. And appreciate that. Delegate Davis.
I'm sorry, Chairman Wilson isn't here, so I'd like to reintroduce Charon Lanier, who is working with Chairman Wilson now.
Someone that you know, right?
Yeah, someone I know.
All right, great. All right. So thank you all for being here this morning, and please note the upcoming meetings. Kara, can you get online? And guess what? We have people, representatives for almost each meeting. So you want to give an overview of who we have on tap right now?
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We are going to be hearing from both Senator Van Hollen and Senator Cardin at different times. So February 2nd, we're going to be hearing from Senator Van Hollen. We're also going to be hearing from Catholic Charities and Angels Watch, as well as the Southern Maryland Heritage Area, Lucille Walker. On the 16th, you'll be hearing from all 3 states' attorneys. On March 1st, we're going to be hearing from the college presidents. So we're going to be bringing back all 3 college presidents for an update. There have been things in particular that I know everybody's curious to hear about, and possibly a pool being one of them. March 15th, we're going to have an agricultural update from Secretary Addix, and we're also going to have a representative from the USDA Rural Development Office, Mr. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got the wrong office. We're going to hear from, I want to say his name is John Sullivan from USDA. And March 23rd, we are still working out the details for the folks there, but it looks like it's going to be military and veterans. So, of course, if you all have any suggestions or any bills that you want addressed or brought up, please feel free to reach out, as Delegate Morgan's office did, and we'll make sure you're heard.
So thank you very much for that, Carol. We tried to cover returning topics, but also some new topics. And we sent that out earlier to sort of fill that in. But if there are some pressing issues, and certainly with things being very fluid in Annapolis, we can also modify the schedule. Okay. So thank you very much. I hope everyone is safe. And thank you for attending with us this morning. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So thank you, Delegate Long. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Delegate Davis. Have a good weekend.
Thank
Colleagues,
you.
I'll
Bye,
see
everybody.
you
Take
Monday.
care. Stay
Thanks,
dry and
Karen.
warm.